Hey, good morning. This is Richard Hsu, host of Hsu Untied. This morning, I'm really pleased to have with me as my guest Julie Goldemberg, who's a partner at Morgan Lewis. Julie, welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Julie, I was kind of interested in your your non-legal background, being an electrical engineer myself. What drew you to be an engineer in the first instance?
Sure. So I actually grew up always thinking I would be a lawyer. I liked watching Ally McBeal and The Practice on TV, dating myself a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But as I got to high school, I was really good at math and science, and there weren't very many women who were excelling in that field, at least proportionally to men. I was frequently one of the only women in my AP classes. And I was kind of pushed into engineering, I'd say, by some of my teachers. And so I thought, well, I'll give engineering a try and see if I can hang. And I quickly learned at college that electrical engineering was considered the most difficult of all the engineering degrees. So I figured that that would be a good challenge. And that's the major that I ended up sticking with. But
And
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, as I finished up undergrad, that's when I rethought about law school. So that's when I made the move back to the legal profession.
I see. So you went ahead and, I mean, that's a lot of classes to commit to. I mean, you could have quit earlier and still gone to law school, but it sounds like you hung in there and finished the major. It's not an easy major for sure.
Yeah, it's not. And I always had an economics major as well. So I think I was trying to keep my options open. But I liked that electrical engineering sort of proves to everybody that you can do anything.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the challenge of it. And it really wasn't until my very last year when I worked at an engineering company and had some more time in a lab that I realized that maybe that wasn't the career for me. I was still kind of on the fence until then. So it was really my senior year that I finally decided, okay, I'm going to take the LSAT and see where this goes.
Hmm. So how did you like law school compared to, being an engineer as an undergrad?
So everybody told me that law school would be easier than undergrad engineering because engineering is so hard. And
Yeah.
I got to Penn my first semester and it was not easy. It was so much reading and so much work. So I think by my second semester, I sort of got a hang of it and got better at realizing that maybe you don't have to read every single word of every single case that's assigned, and got better at issue spotting and stuff like that. But I still found law school to be a challenge, but in a good way. It was definitely a different skill set to develop. And by the end of it, by the time you're a third year, you get to take, the clinics and really help people. And I did a mock jury type exercise and got to be on my feet a little bit more, and participated in some appellate advocacy classes too. So that was really rewarding at the end.
Uh-huh. Well, it's certainly a very different, you're definitely using a very different part of your brain in law school than you are as an engineer for sure.
Yes and no, because I do feel like even when I'm writing briefs now as a lawyer, being an engineer and being disciplined to sit and think about how to structure arguments and the natural flow of them isn't that different from sitting down and thinking about how to solve a problem or write a code.
Yeah. So you never worked as an engineer then, or except during the summer, basically. You went straight to law school after that?
Yeah, I had two summer internships that really solidified my decision to be a lawyer because I found that I didn't enjoy doing the science as much as I enjoyed writing about the science. And that was another reason why patent law was attractive to me. It was a perfect way to use the electrical engineering background. It was something that I knew the clients would like to see. And it was also a way to write about science without actually having to be the one doing it.
Now, did you know about patent law before going to law school, or did you figure that out while you were in law school?
I had met a few patent attorneys, so I sort of knew of it as a field, but I really only understood it from a patent prosecution standpoint. I didn't know about patent litigation, which is what I do now, until I went to law school.
Mm-hmm. And what did you think about that? Like, was that something that just felt perfectly, suited you exactly perfectly, or what?
Much. I really enjoyed the appellate advocacy, the writing pieces. I had a summer associate job where I worked at a law firm that did both prosecution and litigation, and they insisted that the associates do both as well. And I found the prosecution not to be as exciting as the roller coaster that is litigation. So that's when I realized that it would be a better place for me. And then I really solidified it after I got a federal circuit clerkship and saw where all the patent litigations end up, and seeing, being at the pinnacle of that helped me realize that that was what I wanted to do.
Yeah, definitely. So, what is it about patent litigation that you like most? I mean, there's obviously a lot of different aspects to it. Is it the, grasping the technology? Is it the advocacy part? Is it the trial part? What's the part that you really like?
I still really like to write, so that's probably one of my favorites. Writing and then arguing, having the opportunity to be on your feet and articulate your positions are probably my two favorite parts of it. But all the background work that gets you to that point includes learning the technology. It includes figuring out a way to explain the technology to someone, whether it's a judge or a jury, to explain why your client's product either does or doesn't infringe, and or the invalidity arguments that come up. And it's really interesting to sort of put that together. It's really fun to work with experts who have such great knowledge of the industry, and when they sort of find something amazing, some prior art or some piece of some science writing that's so strong for your case, that's a really fun feeling too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as a former patent litigator myself, I definitely agree. I mean, working with experts, it's like being paid to, learn about a totally interesting technology with like a world expert. I mean, how often do you get that opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're usually just as eager to teach it as you are to learn, which is pretty awesome.
Yes, no question. No, they don't get asked a lot of questions. That's very true. Well, give me a feel for the range of kind of technologies you worked in throughout your career. I'm sure it's a wide range, but give me a little bit of a feel for that.
Yeah, it is pretty wide. I've spent most of my career at Morgan Lewis, and we don't really segment our litigators into certain technologies the way that maybe prosecutors get segmented. So I've done all sorts of things. I've I've gone to trial on things like boat steps, on an ANDA application for a drug that was used on newborn babies. I've also done a trial on like different networking pieces and trade secrets on bone cement. I've done just all sorts of different areas of technology. I'm actually, as I sit here right now, I'm in a visitor's office of our local council because I'm at trial right now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's not a day when I'm in court, obviously, but it's a case that involves a technology that's on cruise ships to help open doors and sensor track you while you're on a cruise ship. It's similar to the Magic Band.
Interesting. Wow. Well, interesting. What would you say the most complicated technology you've had to learn and understand in your as a lawyer, would you say?
That's a tough one because I think all technology can be complicated, especially at this level.
Yeah.
So we had a case on ultrasound technology and a different way of doing it. And I thought that was really fascinating. I was pregnant at the time. So talking about ultrasounds all the time and then going in regularly for ultrasounds. So that was pretty complicated technology. And it was also pretty cool because the client was in the south of France. So I summoned up the courage to fly out there and meet with the client and learn all about their technology.
Now, do you find that your clients appreciate or know that you have a technical background? Does that come up at all when you're interacting with them or trying to understand their technology?
I think it puts their engineers at ease. The lawyers are just happy to have the strongest team possible, and they know that smart people can learn anything. But it puts the engineers at ease when they're speaking with an electrical engineer. And at the case I have right now, I've worked a bit with our expert. In our first phone call I had with him, he was very much at ease. He said, I looked at your bio and I see that you're a fellow electrical engineer. So that made him feel like he could talk to me, and it just creates a better working relationship for everyone on the team.
Yeah. Have you done any computer programming in your background as well?
I took a few classes. I think I took like an intro to Java, and then we had some required programming that we had to do in the lab. But I certainly don't have a deep programming experience and rely on our source code experts heavily to tell me what's going on. We have a case right now where we're trying to figure out what's going on with some source code, and that's a big issue because we have sort of an incomplete set of things. It's fascinating to me, but when I open it and look at it nowadays, it looks like a foreign language. I need someone to kind of sit with me and walk me through it.
Well, it really sounds like, I mean, given how much you like patent law, I mean, having the electrical engineering background was really like the perfect fit. It sounds like you don't regret doing it at all, even though you're not, you didn't use it in a professional way.
Yeah, not at all. I think it gives me some street credibility. And I think I've seen all of the different directions that my classmates from my electrical engineering class have gone in. People have gotten MBAs, people are in labs, people have gone into the business side. Some people are consultants and have their own engineering firms, which is really cool. So I think it's a great way to start your career. It explains a lot of things. You learn how to think in a way that can be helpful in a lot of different places. And I think you can really use that undergrad to get any number of master's or professional degrees.
Are there any specific areas of technology you haven't worked in that you would like to explore, or you just kind of take it as it comes?
Yeah, I take it as it comes. That's a hard one. I would say with the new chat functions that can
Mm,
write papers, chat GDP and
yeah.
everything,
Mm.
I wouldn't mind working with that and figuring out more about the AI. I haven't done anything with AI yet, and
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. Have you ever thought about doing something like being an in-house lawyer or doing something like that, as opposed to being in private practice? Have you ever thought about something like that?
I've definitely thought about it, especially as I see certain colleagues move in and out. You know, some of them leave, they go to private, they go in-house, they come back to private practice. Some of them go to the government.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different opportunities. But for now, I've really enjoyed building my practice at Morgan Lewis. So that's been my focus. And I kind of, when I started at Big Law, you kind of hear bad things about it, that it's not a very pleasant place to work and it has a bad rep. And I always thought, well, if it becomes unpleasant, I'll stop doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still doing it because it's still an enjoyable experience for me. So I think if it stops being enjoyable and fun, that's when I would look for something different.
Well, Julie, I really appreciate your taking the time, especially when you have a trial going on. So I really appreciate your taking the time. It was wonderful chatting with you. And if you do decide to do something else, please come back and tell me about it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for talking to me.
This is Richard Hsu and Julie Goldemberg. Thanks.